Hello. Hello and welcome to this video on JavaScript. As always, it will be a quick video and we will look at objects in more detail. So for example, you look at this program, we have a book object and then we have author and then we have author is a field of book, surname is a field of author, and then title is another field of book, same for edition and year. Now these are the value. Okay, so let me comment out a bit of code so that we can run and see it. Yeah. All right. So now usually what you can do is, for example, you can create another script, for example, second object, and we can have another field for it. So we can give it another surname though. So if we have a space in the field or anything which is not part of an identifier. So for example, author, surname, title, edition, these are all identifiers. When you have characters which cannot be part of an identifier, you can put that inside double quotes or single quotes will also work and create a field. So author, title, edition, year, and second author are a field or properties of object book. Surname is a field or property of author and second author. Okay. Now we can invoke the field using dot. So book dot author is the object author. And then we can invoke surname field, not invoke because it's not a function. We can get the value of the property surname using author dot surname. We can also change the value of surname to Smith, for example, and then we can, instead of pulling out author, we can say book dot author dot surname. Then we can use an object assign method and create a copy of book, and then we can see what copy contains, and then we can change the surname of this copy, and we look at the console log again. So let me start the terminal. So there are lots of terminals here. So we run this. So the first console log is author.surname, which is Dayal. Then the second console.log is book.author.surname, which is Smith. Then we print the entire object, and finally we print out Johnson here. So it will be straightforward, and let me bring it down a bit. I don't want to spawn another terminal. So that is one way of you creating objects and setting properties or getting the values. Now configure this code. Okay. We have an object O1 with two properties x and y set to 10 and 25 respectively. Then we create O2 and the source of O2 is O1. So in a sense, the object O2 inherits O1. Okay. What this means is when we have fields of O1, X and Y, we can also access this X and Y from O2, as you can see in console.log. Now we can say that O2.get is equal to 50. Now, for example, in languages which are statically typed, for example, it would be C, C++, Java, Golang, Rust. You cannot dynamically create properties of an object just like that. But JavaScript, since it's a dynamic language, it allows us to modify the object at runtime. So here O2.get will modify the object O2 at runtime and add a property z, and the value of that property z would be 50. Now, if you print o2.x, what happens is it will look at o2 and it will see that there is no x in o2. Then it will look at the inheritance chain and it will see that o2 is inherited from o1. So it will go and look at o1 and see whether o1 has x. And it will find that, okay, x is value of 10. So this will print 10. And similarly, o2y will print 25. And for z, the lookup is not required. And then we have this 50 here. Similarly, if we set the value of x for O2, it will also change for this x 10. Okay, from O1 dot x will also become 10. So now we run this and see it in action. Oh, I made a mistake. Okay, so this will not be 100 because it's a different object and this one is a different object. Okay, so for reading here without modification, when we did not do modification, it will look at O1, but here it's a different object. And therefore, it will be 10, not 100. Okay, let me bring it down again and look at code further. So in essence, JavaScript objects are associative array. Now, when we use dot notation, the part of the dot is treated as a literal property name. It is an identifier, as I said. But when we use notation with square brackets, the expression inside the brackets is evaluated and the result is converted to a string if it is not already a string. So one example could be, we have a customer and that's an array. Okay. So we have a loop, we iterate for 5 times, and then we create an object who has which has a property name customer plus I. So it will be customer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and balance would be I into 100. So balance would be 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. Now we also create another property to this customer object, okay, which is status $I. Now this will do the I interpolation. It's a variable. It will do the interpolation and the value will be substituted. So it will become status 1, status 2, status 3, status 4, and status 5. I know I have not talked about backticks things, I believe. Maybe I'll cover this in next video how backticks operate. So these are not codes, these are backticks found on the key to the left of 1. So shift tilde will be backtick. So if the balance is greater than 300, we make it gold, otherwise we call it silver. So customer whose balance will be 100 and 200 will have the status as silver, not status. Status 1 and status 2 would be silver. Status 3, 4, 5 would become gold. So for example, you can see this console.log and we can put the entire array. So you can see this. You see, okay, I started from 0, so I made a mistake. I start from 0. So there will be 3 customers whose status would be silver and status 0. You can see how the variable was interpolated. And we have status 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are gold. Status 3 and 4 are gold because balance is greater than 200. Right now we look at this. Okay. So from the associative array notation, what we can do is we can get the author as, and instead of writing dot surname, we can write surname in brackets, and then book can have this in brackets as well, author and surname. So in general, you can use the dot property, but if there is a space or some character which cannot be part of the property name, then we can use the bracket notation. now we consider another example. So consider an object O which is empty, so it will inherit object method from object.prototype. Now we say that O dot X is 1, so it has a property X. Now this property is of O. Then we create another object P from O, and we say P dot Y. So P inherits properties from O and object of prototype both, and has a known property Y. Then we create another object Q from P. So Q will inherit properties from P and O, an object of prototype, and then have its own property Z. So if you say Q dot X plus Q dot Y, then Q will get Y from P and X from O. So the values were 2 and 1, so sum will be 3. So now if you say Q dot X is equal to 100, then it creates some new own property X and Q. The own property shadows the inherited property. What it means is if you type console.log qx, it will print 100. That's what shadowing means. You can't access o.x anymore. So that's what happened here. When we created o2.x equal to 100, it created a new own property of o2.x. And o1.x remains unchanged. So if at this moment again, if you try to say q.x, it will be 1. Okay? And similarly, p.x should be 1. All right? So AI is doing all this. All right. So I hope that I have explained a bit of objects properly, and there is how the inheritance works in JavaScript. Don't worry if you don't understand all of inheritance rules right now, because we have not yet introduced the classes, how classes work in JavaScript. Once we understand classes, how classes work, the understanding of objects will increase by leaps and bounds. So we will, once we finish objects in detail, we will go and look at classes and how they work. So I hope that you have found this video useful and informative, and if so, please share, subscribe and like, because if you like and subscribe, then two things happen. One is that the reach of video increases, because that's how YouTube works, or any social media works. The more the likes, the more the subscription, the more reach a video has. Feel free to share the embedded link. You can embed it anywhere, no problem. The second thing which happens is it motivates me to make more videos. When I see in my analytics page and I see number of views are high, or I have more likes, or subscriber number increases, then the dopamine gets released and I get more motivation of making such videos. And if you have any complaints, or you want to say something, you have suggestions, you have new ideas for new videos, let me know in the comment box. So thanks a lot for watching. Happy